Hello and welcome to my final tier list on the official Terraforming Mars corporations. This is a continuation of my tier list series where I go through all corps by expansion. That's why you see a lot of corps already placed here. To see my last video where I discussed the colonies expansion corps, click the link in the upper right hand corner or in the description. In today's video I cover the Turmoil corporations, as well as the last two promo corps left, Astrodrill and Pharmacy Union. But first, I'll go over some changes in the placements due to the new gameplay mechanics introduced with Turmoil. A quick disclaimer, Turmoil is the expansion I played the least of. That's also why it took me so long to make this video. So if you disagree with some of my placements, let me know in the comments and what you would change. But let's get started. I have to move Celestic down to B tier. Turmoil adds no new floater cards except for two global events, Cloud Societies and Corrosive Rain. These surely favor Celestic over other corps, but that's nothing compared to the amount of floater cards added to the game by Venus Next at Colonies. When playing with Turmoil, floater cards are therefore much rarer, and it gets harder to consistently draw good floater cards. Also, Celestic really only likes one party, Unity. That one is for sure a favorite to win a lot of elections, but still, this makes your policy choices much less flexible. The same argument holds true for MSI and Stormcraft. While MSI is one of my favorite corps in the game, I can't ignore that it loses a lot of its strength when playing with all expansions. You just cannot get your Venus combos going as frequently as before. Stormcraft is overall a pretty shitty corp, and it just suffers when floater cards are even rarer, as it doesn't even draw two like Celestic does. So I will move both of these corps down one tier. That's all corp placements that I want to change from my previous video, so let's get to the first new one, Astrodrill. This corporation wasn't released with Turmoil, but rather with the big box promo pack. But since this is my last tier list video, I decided to include Astrodrill and Pharmacy Union, which I will talk about later in here. Astrodrill starts with 35 megacredits, space tech and 3 asteroid resources on the corp itself. Its action allows you to either add an asteroid to any card, gain a standard resource of your choice, or remove one asteroid from the corp to gain 3 titanium. There are two cases with Astrodrill. Either it's completely busted or it's mediocre. Let's talk about the latter case first, namely when you have no asteroid cards on your starting hand. Then you have a corp that starts with 35 megacredits, 9 titanium more or less, as well as a standard resource production of your choice starting in Gen 4. That actually isn't that bad. In the first gen, you have 44 megacredits, including the titanium you get from selling your asteroid. That's average. Together with the titanium you get later and the flexibility you have from being able to choose any standard resource you want, I'd put Astrodrill in B tier. But when is Astrodrill completely busted? Well, of course, when you have one of the 6 asteroid cards on your starting hand. Actually, Asteroid Rides isn't even that great for Astrodrill. It's better than nothing, as you can then put an asteroid on your corp and instantly remove it in one gen, but the other options are much more potent. That's because these cards are balanced around you having to pay for the asteroids you put on them, and only being able to reap the benefits of it every other gen. Take comet aiming for example. With Astrodrill, you are able to place an ocean for free each gen. With cards like Aquifer Pumping or Water Import from Europa, you pay a steep price for that. But these asteroid cards are so rare that I will actually keep Astrodrill in B tier. But keep in mind that if you have one of these 6 cards on your starting hand, it's a sign from the Terraforming Mars gods to pick this corp. Factorum is one of my favorite Turmoil corps, just because it's so different to other corporations. It starts with 37 megacredits, a steel prod and a building tech as well as a power tech. It has an action that allows you to either increase your power prod for free or pay 3 megacredits to draw a building tech. The former option is only possible if you have no energy resources left. 37 megacredits is below average, but a steel prod is useful, especially because you can draw building techs and therefore don't run the risk of floating steel without having good steel targets. This also means that you do not need to hesitate playing more steel prod than usual. Having 2 techs on a corp is also quite nice, especially the building tech can help you with builder and contractor. But let's get to the meat of the affair, Factorum's action. Increasing your power prod for free is extremely useful, and that's why this is limited to only being allowed when you have no power resources left. Many cards consume 1 power prod, and for those it is no problem just increasing your power prod by 1, and then immediately playing the card. You can repeat this every gen, but there are also cards that use up power itself. These are especially useful for Factorum, as these give you the option to increase your power prod even further. In the case where you actually have power resources, Factorum's alternative action is no joke either. Drawing a random card for 3 mega credits isn't that great, but drawing a building tag specifically is super useful, as it allows you to get combos going, secure builder or contractor, or just find useful steel targets, preventing you from floating massive amounts of steel. Sometimes, namely when you're not in need of power prod, this action is even better than the first one. So Factorum is a flexible, albeit somewhat poor corp, that specializes in playing building tags and using power to its advantage. I will put it in B tier. Let's talk about the next corp on my list, Lakefront Resorts. This corporation starts with 54 mega credits, a building tag, and you get 1 MC prod every time an ocean is placed. Additionally, your placement bonus next to an ocean is increased from 2 mega credits to 3. What can I say about Lakefront Resorts other than it is incredibly strong? You have a high amount of starting capital, start with a useful tag and get 9 guaranteed MC prod throughout the game. Also, if you focus on playing a ground game, you will likely benefit from the increased ocean rebate a few times, which can help more than it seems. For me, Lakefront Resorts is S tier, and if you want to learn more about it, check out my tutorial on it. You want to get a lot of hate from a lot of people? Play Mons Insurance. This corp starts with 48 mega credits, 4 MC prod, and you're allowed to decrease the MC prod of all other players by 2. This start is bonkers, and the effect of Mons Insurance is designed to counteract it. Whenever someone's resources or production are reduced by the action of another player, you have to pay the disadvantaged player the compensation of 3 mega credits. Starts with Mons Insurance are incredibly fun, as you see all the joy leave your opponent's eyes when they realize they gotta decrease their MC production. In general, this start is really strong. 48 mega credits is slightly above average, and you have a difference of 6 MC prod to every other player, which is incredible. Of course, this is counterbalanced by a quote-unquote ability, if you can even call it that. Corps that randomly lose money based on your opponent's actions are really frustrating to play. You plan out your turn, but then in the middle of it, you have to pay 3 MC, and all of the planning goes out the window. Of course, the strength of Mons Insurance heavily relies on how many hate cards are played. But even if 1 or 2 of these are played in every gen, which would be quite a lot, you still have a leg up on your opponents. All in all, I think Mons Insurance is a really fun concept, but the unpredictability makes it B tier for me. I just talked about Mons Insurance and how its unpredictability makes it hard to play. Another case of this is Pharmacy Union. With Pharmacy Union, you start off with 54 mega credits, 2 microbe tags, and as your first action, you draw a science tag. Your ability is threefold. When any player, including you, plays a microbe tag, you lose 4 mega credits and add a disease resource to your corp. This includes the tags on the corp itself, so you effectively start off with 46 mega credits and 2 disease resources. When you play a science tag, you may remove a disease from your corp and increase your TR by 1. If there is no disease left, you are allowed to turn the corp card face down and increase your TR by 3. This might not only be the longest and most complicated corp text ever, it also has huge potential. Play 3 science tags in your first gen, and you start your game off with 5 extra TR. But that is the best case scenario. Your ability is usually not good in the long run. You pay more for a TR than with UNMI, and you cannot always control when. Same as with Mons Insurance, you can perfectly plan out your gen, only to get wrecked by someone playing a microbe card. Sure, microbe cards rarely get played, but often enough to make playing this corp really unpredictable and annoying. And also, in contrast to Mons Insurance, you do not have an economy advantage over your opponents. So I think Pharmacy Union belongs in C tier. Let's get to Philares, another one of my favorite corps in the Turmoil expansion. You start off with 47 mega credits, a building tag, and as your first action, you are allowed to place a greenery. Your ability reads, each new adjacency between your tile and an opponent's tile gives you a standard resource of your choice. This means that if you place a city next to two of your opponent's greeneries, you can choose two standard resources. Of course, Philares only really thrives when playing a ground game, but in doing just that, this corp is amazing. Your opponents hate snacking points off your greeneries, and therefore you can place your tiles much more aggressively. Starting off with greenery is of course also quite nice. Especially on Hellas and Elysium, this might allow you to be the first one to get the incredibly overpowered placement bonuses on the South Pole and Olympus Mons. So all in all, I'd rank Philares in A tier. It's incredibly strong when playing a ground game, but when your starting hand isn't meant for that, then you might want to pick a different corp. Pristar is another really fun corp in my opinion, as it requires you to think about every turn and play your game differently to all other corps. You start off with 53 mega credits, 2 less TR, and your ability means that at the end of each turn, in which you did not terraform, you get 1 point and 6 MC. Pristar's ability is really strong if you know how to use it. You should try to not terraform and collect all terraforming cards that you really want to play, and then play these all in one turn. Bundle your terraforming into a single or maybe 2 turns to get the most of your ability. Also, try to get the reds into power as often as possible. You will most likely always be the one with the lowest TR, and will get the benefit from both the ruling and the policy bonus. So little terraforming also means that you are best fitted for a long game. Science tags, card draw, insane production, all that good stuff. But even if you do not intend to use cards like oxygen bumpers, remember to cut the best ones in the draft. So I think Pristar is A tier and more importantly, really fun to play. Septem Tribus starts off with 36 mega credits, a wild tag, and once every gen, its action allows you to collect 2 mega credits for each party in which you have at least one delegate. The wild tag on the corp is incredibly valuable. There are only 2 other cards with wild tags on them, and I love both of them. Wild tags just make playing all kinds of combo cards much easier. But how to rate the ability? If you immediately place a delegate into every party, you effectively spend 13 to get a mega credit production of 12, which is insane. But there are a few problems with that. You initially have to spend 25 on 5 delegates and use your free delegate, so you can only keep 3 cards from the opening draft. Also, you only have 7 delegates in total. If you have 1 in every party and every gen use your free one to replace the one voted out, you have only 1 left to try to influence elections and get elected as chairman. Of course, you could also be more flexible with your ability and not always have 1 delegate in every party. But then, why are you even playing this corp? Well, maybe for the wild tag, I guess. Septem Tribus is hard to rate overall. Its ability has ups and downsides. Its starting capital is below average and the tag is huge. So I guess it rightly belongs in B tier. Terralabs goes straight into F tier, no questions asked. It starts with 14 MC, a science tag, and an earth tag, and its ability allows you to purchase cards for 1 MC instead of 3, be it at the start of the game, in the draft, or with cards like Inventor's Guild. 14 MC at the start of the game is abysmal, and why the heck do you also lose a TR? The ability maybe saves you between 50 and 75 mega credits per game, which is a lot. But a corp like Credit Core starts you off with 43 mega credits more and has an ability which saves you a lot of cash as well. And with Terralabs, your early game sucks. Often you cannot play any cards at all in the first gen, and in a gen after that, you have even less cash than other corps because of your reduced TR. Redudes can certainly help a bit, but you need to be lucky with those. A few upsides about the corp are that 2 good tags, especially the science tag, can help you get some combos going, and the fact that you can easily get planner. Utopia Invest starts the game off with 40 mega credits, a steel and titanium prod, as well as a building tag. Your ability allows you to decrease any of your production by 1 step to get 4 resources of that kind. 40 MC is straight average, but you start the game with insane production, comparable to corps like Saturn Systems or Polyphemus. The building tag is quite useful, but nothing to write home about. The ability though is really interesting. In the early to mid game, it enables you to play critical cards. Playing cards like Strip Mine or IO Mining a gen earlier is definitely worth a decrease in your money, steel or titanium production. Also, you can use it to steal the bonus steps on the temperature or oxygen track by decreasing your heat or plant production. Then, in the late game, basically starting 3 gens before the game ends, Utopia's ability is just making you a profit, so using it then is a no-brainer. Average starting capital, really strong production, and a useful ability put this corp into A tier in my opinion. Thanks for watching my tier list on the Turmoil expansion course. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Let me know in the comments whether you'd have placed any corps differently. See you in the next video.